मम ज्ञानातिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा गदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। हे करुणाकरुणसिन्धुते गोपेशा गोवर्धनस्ते कांचन गौरंग राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So I don't really necessarily force mute everyone, so please mute yourself if you are unmuted. If you are speaking, then that's fine, but if you are unmuted, please mute yourself. Let's show
Mataji,
that.
the next class will be on 16th, no?
I don't remember the schedule.
Yes,
Is it
16th, Mataji.
Yeah,
16th is your schedule.
16th. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, so let's see. So let's do what we did last week. What verse did we finish? Kartik, 14th. Okay.
15th.
What
15th
was
is,
the homework?
15th is over.
Mataji, I remember we finished till 15, but I think Dr. Rao had told that we finished up till 18th. I was not there on 19 and 20. This is Sudha here.
We finished till 18th. I also felt I finished this.
Yes.
Register
Yes, Mataji, we finished till 18.
Okay. Okay, so please raise your hand. Who knows the names of all the conch shells blown by all the Pandavas in Krishna? Yes, quickly. Raise your hand, please. That was a homework. Yes, okay. I'm so proud. Yes, Rajni Mataji, please unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Well,
So, Panchajanya is one of the names. Rishikesha, Devadatta, Dhananjaya, Poundram.
question is the conch shells which are blown by 5 brothers and Krishna. What are the names of each respective conch shell? So Rishikesh is the name of Krishna, but that's not the name of a conch shell. Panchajanya, yes.
Okay, Devadatta, that's named after Devadattam.
So Panchajanya is a conch shell blown by who? Yes, help your classmate, everybody. You're sitting in a class.
Krishna.
Panchajanya is by Krishna.
Krishna.
Conch shell who?
Yeah. Then there is
Devadatta by
Dhananjaya blown by
Arjuna.
Arjuna.
No. Devadatta by Arjuna. Poundra by
Dhananjaya is by
Bhima.
Arjuna, I think.
Yeah. Poundra by Bhima.
Yes.
Ananta
Ananta
Vijaya
Vijaya.
by Yudhishthira.
That is Yudhishthira.
Just 1 second, okay? I'm sorry, I had to mute everyone. Rajni Mataji, please unmute yourself. Please finish the answer. So, Tanya is Krishna. Devadatta is Arjuna. Who is next?
Dhananjaya.
Dhananjaya is the name of Arjuna because he conquered wealth for Yudhishthira to fight. But that's not conch.
Can I?
Okay. Ananta Vijayam is by Yudhishthira.
Yes, okay.
Then Sughosha and Mani Pushpaka by Nakula and Sahadeva.
Nice. Bhima.
Bhima, I think it is Poundram, is it?
You were not in the last class. You still know. I am so proud.
No, I'm reading, Mataji. Sorry. I'm catching up.
Thank you. So who else? One Mataji has been wanting to. Please unmute yourself, Mataji. I don't know who it is.
Should I?
Yes, Mataji. What is your name?
I'm Smita. Yeah.
Okay.
Panchajanya is by Krishna, Devadatta by Arjuna, Poundra by Bhima, Ananta Vijay by Dharma, that is Yudhishthira, Sughosha by Nakula, and Mani Pushpaka by Sahadev.
Very nice. Yes. And what else was the homework? Did you all read the
Krishna and
Different names of Krishna.
We had to remember. We had to memorize the names, all the names of Krishna and Arjuna used throughout.
first chapter?
Yeah, I had done. shloka wise. Can I read?
Mataji, no, later. Let's get to it at the end. I want to know who has memorized verse 1. Who did not memorize it last time? Last time did not speak, but this time they know who is the person. Please be honest. And please lower your hand if you have already answered last week. You don't repeat. People who have not answered last week. Make noises. You're in a class, I will call out your name. Okay, Madhu Chilka Mataji. Mataji, go ahead.
First verse. Dharmakshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta, Yuyutsava. Sorry, Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Dharmakshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta, Yuyutsava. Mamaka, Pandavachaiva, Kim Kuvrataha, Sanjaya.
Very nice. So that was Madhu Mataji. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Komaleshwari Mataji. Yes,
Hi.
Mataji.
I can also
Yes, Guruji. Dhritarashtra Vacha, Dharmakshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta, Yuyutsava, Mamaka, Pandava, Chaiva, Kim Akurvata, Sanjaya.
Very nice. Okay,
Thank
Ambika,
you.
go ahead.
Dharmakshetre Samaveda Yuyutsavaha Mamaga Pandava Chaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya.
Nice. Music to my ears. Thank you, Radha Mataji. And then after Radha Mataji is Usha Mataji. Yes, Radha Mataji. Radha Mataji, go ahead, please. We can't hear you. Usha Mataji, go ahead.
1 minute.
And after Usha Mataji.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Dharmakshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta, Yutsava, Mamaka, Pandava, Achaiva, Kim Kurvate, Sanjaya.
Very nice. Such nice. Very nice. Duty Day Mataji. And then after that, Rajni Mataji. Yes, Duty Day Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Krishna.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmashetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsava Mamaka Pandava Chaiva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya.
Excellent. Yes,
Mataji.
Rajni Mataji.
धृतराष्ट्रोवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेता युयुत्सवः मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किमकुर्वत सञ्जयः.
Nice. So nice and music. So relieving and soothing to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Vijita.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Vijita.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya.
Very nice.
Thank
This
you.
Mataji wants to go. This is Isha Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Then she
Dhritarashtra.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveda Yutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya.
Very nice. Thank you, Mataji. Very nice.
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
So, what did we study last week? We studied different signs of which indicate that Arjuna is going to win. Can someone summarize some of these points? Please raise your hand very quickly.
Sorry, Mataji, I could not hear you. Can you repeat?
Yes, I'm just going to mute everyone. When there are too many mics on, then my voice doesn't go. So we studied last week different signs that Arjuna is going to win the war. I am asking if someone can recite me different signs what we have studied so far. Yes. So Matajis are answering what is happening to Prabhuji's Ramesh. Yes, I think that is also Sudha Mataji, right? Sudha Mataji, please unmute yourself. What are the signs that Arjuna is going to win the war?
Ma'am, first Hare Krishna Mataji. The thing is that Lord Krishna is in their side. And another is that because Lord Krishna is there, Devi, Lakshmi Devi is also in there, goddess of fortune. And Agni Devata is there in the chariot. And Hanuman is there in the flag of Arjuna. So all this indicates that definitely Arjuna will be.
More. So you said,
I know
she
the
said,
one more.
Krishna is on their side, then Mother Lakshmi is on their side. Agni Dev gave the chariot to Arjuna, which can conquer all three directions. Hanuman is present on the flag to assist Arjuna for fighting for Krishna. More.
Arrangement done by Lord himself.
What, Mataji?
Arrangement done by Lord himself.
Okay. Thank you.
And the place of war, Kurukshetra.
Then sounding of transcendental conch shell.
Okay. I'm just, yes. One second, Mataji. The thing is, when I ask a question, let me make my position clear. When I ask a question, I am not expecting a perfect answer. So we really don't have to talk over each other. I am expecting a discussion. So we are enriching our lives. You are enriching, your life gets enriched. I also get enriched. But what happens is when we talk over each other, this is a very difficult platform to conduct a class. No cameras on and we don't know each other. So let's come to a one person. Let that one person say. Kyuki if I have to give answer, I can only tell all answers. Why will I ask? And if that person is stuck up somewhere, then you become a proper warrior for that student or classmate of yours, and then you say. So one person, please say, who has not yet spoken in the class. What Sudha Mataji said, I will revise. So don't repeat those points. Krishna is on the side of Pandavas, and then Mother Lakshmi is on the side of Krishna. Hanuman is present over there. Agni Dev get chariot. Okay, now one person who has not yet spoken is no Prabhus. What's going on with the Prabhus? 66% of the world is conducted by Matajis nowadays. No, no Prabhus. Yes, Krishna.
Skillful warriors are there in Pandava's side.
No, Mataji, no. I'm sorry. I will tell you who's going to say, and then you help them. Madhu Chogulu Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Duryodhana in text 9 or verse 9, Duryodhana saying that people at his end will lay their lives in the war, and Pandavas had their transcendental council plus Krishna's council was an indication, and Bhishma blowing his council was also an indication that Duryodhana would lose and the Pandavas would win.
Very nice. So I think she completed all the points. And also one Mataji said Dharam Kshetre Kurukshetre. And also it was a day of Mokshada Ekadashi. So everything was very... is there anyone who has an extra point to whatever has been said so far? If yes, then please unmute yourself. To whatever has been said, if you have any more extra point to add, please unmute. Otherwise,
Duryodhana had too much of ahamatva. So he underestimated the army of Pandavas. So that also is one of the reasons why.
Duryodhana.
May I say Mataji?
Mataji, was Tyakta Jivitaha covered?
Yes, it was covered. Okay. Yes. Okay, should we go ahead with today's class? Can I please proceed? Okay, thank you. So 19th, we are going to start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You can say behind me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 1, text 19. So who would like to read? Who has not yet spoken anything, please Please participate. Each one of you should speak something in this class. Each one of you. There are 40 people right now. Don't go home without even opening your mouth even once. What is that? That's not a class. That's a webinar.
Sagosho.
We can't hear you, Mataji. Who is speaking?
Balakrishna. Balakrishna Nair.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Pranam Hridayani Vyadarayat Navascha Prithvinchaiva Tumulopyanudadayan.
Very nice.
Namaste, namaste. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Translation and puppet. We're not going to leave you so soon.
I can read now today.
Yeah.
Last week I was not having the book with me.
Okay, read please. Read please, Prabhu, for us.
Namaste. Let me find out the chapter from the book.
Do you want me to increase the font in the screen? Prabhu, look at my screen, please. I'm going to increase the font.
No, I am using that phone, so it is very perfect. I cannot read it.
Okay. The blowing.
Sagosh.
Yes, Prabhu.
Sagosh.
Yes, Balakrishnan, Prabhu, go
I
ahead.
cannot read it from the screen. No, Mataji, I cannot read it from the screen. I'm sorry that.
Okay, okay.
Because
reading the verse. Thank you. Yes, Meera Mataji, you have been trying to read.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Meera Mataji, go ahead, please. Is she here?
Sagosho Rashtanam Hridayani Vyadarayat Nabasya Pridivim Chaiva Tumulo Vyanunadayan.
Translation.
Translation. It's in Telugu, ma'am. Hariram, Telugu.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Mataji,
Mataji, I can read.
Vijita.
Yeah, Vijita, go ahead.
Yes. Translation. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, and thus, both in the sky and on the earth, it shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. Purport. When Bhishma and the others on the side of Duryodhana blew their respective conch shells, there was no heart breaking on the part of the Pandavas. Such occurrences are not mentioned, but in this particular verse, it is mentioned that the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra were shattered by the sounds vibrated by the Pandavas' party. This is due to the Pandavas and their confidence in Lord Krishna. One who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity.
Thank you very much. So the point here is Hridayani Vyadarayat. There's a question also. So blowing up these different conch shells became uproarious and vibrating both in the sky and earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. So the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra got shattered. Such thing is not mentioned when the Kauravas are blowing their conch shell. And that's what Prabhupada is saying here. No heartbreaking on the part of Pandavas. Such occurrences are not mentioned, but in this particular verse, it is mentioned that the hearts of sons of Dhritarashtra were shattered. And here the key point is one who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity. Fear is a very big thing. We must discuss fear one day. What causes fear? Just to give you insight, what is the reason for one to become fearful of anything? You can raise your hand if you have something. I'm just going to lower all the hands which have been raised from before. Please don't mind. I want to have the clarity. Or you can lower your own hands. So what causes
or trauma, Mataji?
Okay, thank you. Geeta Mataji.
Something.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Insecurity.
Insecurity. Okay.
Insecurity causes fear.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Mani Singh, Mataji.
When one is not confident enough, she is not confident enough of the situation, the fear might arise.
Confidence of the situation. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Okay, I'm just trying to think what you said. Yes, Ashwati, Mataji. What causes fear? What do you think? Root cause. Ashwati, Dilip, Mataji.
Hello.
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The fear rises from ignorance of what one has to have and what one should not have. It is basically the desire which causes fear of not having it or losing it. I mean, whatever is there, the fear of losing it, or whatever is not there, the fear of not gaining it.
You? Suri, Mataji. What causes fear?
Yes, Mataji?
What causes
Possessiveness?
Possessiveness.
Yeah.
Possessiveness.
Yeah.
Oh, because
the fear of losing things.
Okay, thank you.
Namaste, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. It is the lack of confidence in the Almighty. The Almighty power is there. So that lack of confidence in the person, that is actually causing the fear.
Yes, thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you, everyone. So, Srila Prabhupada explains in Srimad Bhagavatam, fear, like for example, death is very fearful. It's very, if someone says, I'm not scared of death, then that person is either a Mahabhagavata or a foolish. There's no middle person. So, what causes fear of death? What causes? Prabhupada analyzes in Srimad Bhagavatam. It analyzes that actually we don't know where we are going to go. Where we are going to go next. We don't know. That is the reason for fear. So anxiety is like fear of like unknown. There's something unknown. Always, whenever there is a fear, there is always an element of foreignship. Like we don't know what's going to happen. Any situation you take, okay, someone is fearful of heights because they don't know if they go on the height and if they jump, then what's going to happen. There's an anxiety sitting there. So what is one common formula to get rid of all kinds of fear? What is take shelter of someone who can give us protection? In 7th chapter, 1st canto Bhagavatam, Ashwathama releases Brahmastra, right? Uttara is carrying Parikshit Maharaj, and he's the last heir in the Pandavas family. And Ashwathama releases Brahmastra, which is wrong. Nuclear weapon doesn't need to be released to kill some child in the womb, but he releases. And there is darkness all over the world when he releases. So Arjuna becomes fearful that what is happening. He couldn't understand. Then he prays to Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Mahabaho, Bhakta Nam Abhayankaraha, Tvam Ekam Dvaya Mananam Apavargo Hi Samshite. Krishna, Krishna, Mahabaho, Krishna, you only can instill fearlessness in the hearts of your devotees. No one else can do it. So really, we can go through whatever therapy. There are so many approaches to alleviate someone's anxiety. Unless and until we come to the platform of fear of Krishna consciousness, our fear will only take next object of anxiety. Okay, I may get rid of the fear of heights, but what about this? Or what about this? What about this? So, or what about ultimate fear of death? What about that? What are we going to do about that? So only remedy is to take shelter of Krishna, because Krishna can give protection. I showed the video, right? Movement of the living entities, where 3rd canto, 31st chapter, where I showed the transmigration of the soul and the child in the embryo praying to Krishna. A child in embryo in the fetus praying to Krishna. Sorry. Do you all remember that?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
One most important thing was Hridayani Vradharayat. So let's go to the next one. Hema Shetty Mataji, you can read this, please. Mataji, you are muted. Hema Shetty Mataji, you are muted.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Mataji. My Sanskrit is not good, Mataji, so I'm just trying. Atha vyavastitana drishtadartha rashtrana kapadvaja pravarte shastra sampate dhanurdhyamyam pandava rishikesha tada vyakya midhamaya mayipate. The translation: at that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the son of Dhritarashtra, drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Purport: the battle was just about to begin. It is understood from the above statement that the sons of Dhritarashtra were more or less disheartened by the unexpected arrangement of the military force by the Pandavas, who were guided by the direct instruction of Lord Krishna on the battlefield. The emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna is another sign of victory, because Hanuman cooperated with Lord Rama in the battle between Rama and Ravana, and Lord Rama emerged victorious. Now both Rama and Hanuman were present on the chariot of Arjuna to help him. Lord Krishna is Rama himself, and wherever Lord Rama is, his eternal servitor Hanuman and his eternal consort Sita, the goddess of fortune, are present. Therefore, Arjuna had no cause to fear any enemies whatsoever. And above all, the Lord of the senses, Lord Krishna, was personally present to give him direction. Thus, all good counsel were available to Arjuna in the matter of executing the battle. In such auspicious condition arranged by Lord for his eternal devotee lay the signs of assured victory.
Very nice.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
So in this verse, the another sign that Arjuna is going to win is Kapidhwaja. Kapidhwaja means one whose flag is marked with Hanuman here. So I'm going to share Prabhupada's lecture on this verse. And next time, whenever we meet, I would request you to tell me what is Prabhupada saying about the importance of Hanuman present on the chariot. What is so special? Here he's saying we understand on the superficial manner that Lord Hanuman helped Lord Rama to win. So in the same way, he's going to guide Arjuna to win. But there is a history behind it, how he agreed to come and help Arjuna. So listen to Prabhupada's lecture. I will share the link in the group.
Mataji, I know that history.
Yeah, but wait until everyone else.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go ahead. Thank you, Mataji. Any questions in so far, whatever we discussed?
Mataji, one question over here. Generally in Bhagavad Gita, all the things are of 2 lines, but here we are seeing 3 lines. How is it so? I mean, uniformity of 2 lines for every shloka. But here we find text 20 has got 3 lines, 3 separate lines.
Which lines you're saying?
No, there are 3 lines. Basically, till text 18, 19, there were always there were 2 lines, 2 lines in a shloka. One text, there are 2 lines, 2 statements. I mean, 2 different lines. But here are 3. So it is like that. I just wanted to know, there is no such uniformity of number of lines or number of words, letters per shloka.
I am not understanding, Mataji. This line, Atha Vyavasthitan Dashtva Dhritarashtranan Kapidhwaja, is 1 line, and then Pravate Sampate Dhanur, second line, then Rishikesham Tada Vakyam. Third line, what you're saying?
Third line, but I'm saying the third line. Generally in Bhagavad Gita, I have always seen that every shloka is that consists of only 2 lines. Here it is 3 lines.
I don't think there is a problem in number of lines. I don't know about it, Mataji. I'm not a
Okay.
Question.
Okay, it was just a curiosity. That's all. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go to next 21, 22. Let's try to finish the chapter. Okay, who's going to read? Ambika Mataji read something. Shamala Srinivas Mataji. Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
सेनयोर उभयोर मध्ये रथम स्थिपयामि च्युता यावत् इते निसुते ह्रियम् हम योद्धा कमाम अवस्थितान कैरमाया सह योद्धव्याम अस्मिन् रणा समुद्यमे. Arjuna said, "O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms." Although Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy, he was engaged in the service of his friend. He never fails in his affection for his devotees, and thus he is addressed herein as infallible. As charioteer, he had to carry out the orders of Arjuna, and since he did not hesitate to do so, he is addressed as infallible. Although he had accepted the position of a charioteer for his devotee, his supreme position was not challenged. In all circumstances, he is the supreme personality of Godhead, Hrishikesha, the Lord of the total senses. The relationship between Lord and his servitor is very sweet and transcendental. The servitor is always ready to render service to the Lord, and similarly, the Lord is always seeking an opportunity to render some service to the devotee. He takes greater pleasure in his pure devotees assuming the advantageous position of ordering him than he does in being the giver of orders. Since he is a master, everyone is under his orders and no one is above him to order him. But when he finds that a pure devotee is ordering him, he obtains transcendental pleasure, although he is the infallible master of all circumstances. As a pure devotee of the Lord, Arjuna had no desire to fight with his cousins and brothers, but he was forced to come into the battlefield by the obstinacy of Duryodhana, who was never agreeable to any peaceful negotiation. Therefore, he was very anxious to see who the leading persons present on the battlefield were. Although there was no question of a peacemaking endeavor on the battlefield, he wanted to see them again and to see how much they were bent upon demanding an unwanted war.
Thank you, Mataji. So I have a request to all of you. Please raise your hand if you're going to read from the screen, because there is a little bit of additions in or some editing has been done in the translations. So if you're reading from the book, we cannot keep up what's happening on the screen. So please raise your hand only if you're going to read from the screen. So here the keyword is Krishna is addressed by Arjuna as Achyuta. Achyuta means infallible. So that doesn't mean that, oh, infallible one, see here. So because Krishna has become a driver, doesn't mean that Krishna has lost his position of being a Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna maintains his position of being a Supreme Personality of Godhead under any circumstances. That is why Arjuna is very careful in addressing Krishna as Achyuta. That, okay, I know even though you are my chariot driver, but you still are Achyuta, you're still infallible, you still maintain your caliber, your position, your title. You have just agreed to do this job for me, oh Krishna. So this is the way we must address a devotee who is on a higher platform than us. We will meet, now you're in Krishna consciousness, you will meet many elevated devotees in your life now. So association of devotees, we have to consider three things. People who are beginners, who are innocent, we should give them compassion. So that is Rupa Goswami Prabhupada's principle. Whoever is like beginner, a neophyte, give and sincere, give them compassion. Who are of the equal level, make them friends. And who are higher than us, like acharyas, sannyasis, or Krishna, we pay obeisances. So these are the three ways of dealing with the devotees. So in all circumstances, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hrishikesha, the Lord of the total senses. Okay, so the relationship between the Lord and his servitor is very sweet and transcendental. Krishna, Prabhupada says in Bengali, it is called Dua Lage Hura Huri. Means that both are competing who's going to serve Krishna for better. There is a story, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. The Rupa Goswami one day desired in the forest that if I can get some nice bhoga, raw material, ghee or atta or lentils or some spices, rice, then I will make a nice bhoga and then I will offer it to Krishna and I will give it to my brother Sanatan Goswami. He desired like that. But they were in the middle of the jungle where there is grocery store in the middle of a jungle. Suddenly a beautiful girl comes and brings all the supplies and gives it to Rupa Goswami. So Rupa Goswami says, how did you bring it? Who are you? She said, oh, Baba, I live in a village nearby and today we had a sacrificial ceremony in our house. And my mother told me to give it to the first saintly person that I will meet. So I saw you, so I'm giving it to you. Rupa Goswami accepted it. Rupa Goswami cooked very nice. They were very nice cooks. And brought it to Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami was very, very surprised to see that how did you get all these supplies in the middle of a jungle? So Rupa Goswami explained, oh, one little girl, she came. They had some function in the house, so she came to give me donation. Sanatan Goswami got very curious. What? So Sanatan Goswami is the older brother of Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami has accepted Sanatan Goswami as his spiritual master. So he says to Rupa Goswami, describe me the features of the girl. How did she look like? So he explained that she was golden in color. Her eyes were so beautiful. She was her hair was so long. So he explained and Sanatan Goswami was immediately started crying. Oh my God, that was Radharani. You took service from Radharani. We are here to give service to Radharani and you took service from Radharani. Our life is spoiled. So like that, Krishna is also waiting when he can serve his pure devotee. And the pure devotee is saying, no, I don't want anything from you. I just want to serve you. That is pure devotee. We are not at that level. But let's not copy. Let's take shelter of such a devotee. That we are very fortunate that we are able to read and we come in that parampara. So the relationship between the Lord and his servitor is very sweet and transcendental. The servitor is always ready to render a service to the Lord. Similarly, the Lord is always seeking an opportunity to render some service to the devotee. So that's one example I gave you. And there's a lot of exchange. Dua lage hura huri means, Srila Prabhupada explains, means there's a competition of service going on. Who's going to serve more? Who's going to serve? Will Krishna do it more or will pure devotee do it more? So Arjuna had no desire to fight. He had no desire of his own. He was procrastinating the fight. He didn't want to fight. But he's giving one reason or another and he's saying, what need is there to fight? There is whole planet. There is so many jungles. I'll go live over there. But he was very anxious to see who's collected in this arena of warfield. So he tells Arjuna, Krishna, take my chariot in the middle of the two warriors, two parties to fight. Bigger thing I want to bring to your attention is Krishna has not spoken a word yet. We are on 23rd verse and Krishna has not yet spoken. Okay, so who's going to read? So please read from the screen. Who's not read so far? Neha Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yotsamanan avexaham ya etetra samagatha dhartarashya durbuddhir yudhe priya chikirsava. Translation. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Purport. It was an open secret that Duryodhana wanted to usurp the kingdom of Pandavas by evil plans in collaboration with his father Dhritarashtra. Therefore, all persons who had joined the side of Duryodhana must have been birds of the same feather. Arjuna wanted to see them in the battlefield before the fight was begun, just to learn who they were, but he had no intention of proposing peace negotiation with them. It was also a fact that He wanted to see them to make an estimate of the strength which he had to face, although he was quite confident of victory because Krishna was sitting by his side. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, thank you so much. So that is the reason why Arjuna told Krishna to bring the chariot, that he wanted to see, and he also wanted to estimate the strength. But he was sure of his victory. He was sure. Even though he was sure of his victory, he still did not want to fight. Can you imagine a situation where I know I'm going to win this battle? I am 100% sure that the victory is mine, but I'm still not going to fight because of compassion, because of Arjuna is a very elevated Vaishnava. These are all Vaishnava qualities. 26 qualities are listed in a Vaishnava. So these all qualities are found in completeness in Arjuna. Okay, so who would like to read the next one? Okay, we'll start the cycle. No Prabhus. There are no Prabhus today. It's okay. Let me go down the list. Shivaram Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming. Do you think you'll
Hare
read?
Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. You think you can read?
Yeah, I will. Sanjaya Uvacha. Evam Ukto Rishikesho. Gudakeshena Bharata. Senayor Ubayor Madhye. Stapitva Ratottamam.
Very nice.
Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharata, being thus addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. Purport. In this verse, Arjuna is referred to as Gudakesha. Gudaka means sleep, and one who conquers sleep is called Gudakesha. Sleep also means ignorance. So Arjuna conquered both sleep and ignorance because of his friendship with Krishna. As a great devotee of Krishna, he could not forget Krishna even for a moment, because this is the nature of a devotee. Either in waking or in sleep, a devotee of the Lord can never be free from thinking of Krishna's name, form, quality, and pastimes. Thus, a devotee of Krishna can conquer both sleep and ignorance simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. This is called Krishna consciousness or Samadhi. As Rishikesha, or the director of the senses and mind of every living entity, Krishna could understand Arjuna's purpose in placing the chariot in the midst of the armies. Thus, he did so and spoke as follows.
Very nice. Thank you so much. So here is Gudakesha. Gudaka means sleep, and one who conquers the sleep is Gudakesha. Esha means the controller. Isha, the last 2-3 words. Gudaka means sleep. So who controls the sleep? Who can control the sleep? Actually, so we look forward to sleep, right? When we lie, get some rest. When we lie sleep, Krishna consciousness is conquer this sleep. And sleep also means ignorance. Even Ramanuja, Rama Anuja. Anuja means younger brother. Rama is Lord Rama. So younger brother of Lord Rama means Lakshmana. That's Lakshmana's name. Rama Anuja, Ramanuja. He's also called as Gudakesha. He also conquered sleep. So this is what a pure devotee is. Pure devotee is not somebody who can dress up like a devotee and who can do nice steam or spa bath or something to the face and look very radiant. No. Pure devotee is whose heart is cleaned and who's constantly thinking of Krishna. Now, how can we think of Krishna if we don't love Krishna? It's very hard to think of Krishna if we don't love. Now, how can we love Krishna? We can love Krishna by working for Krishna, by serving Krishna. Srila Prabhupada explains love means service. There's service there. Love doesn't mean I'm sitting with on my chair, now you serve me. No. Love means I give service. Like mothers love to the child, constantly she's giving service. Constantly. Once I was in the development pediatric seminar. I'm sorry I'm going some off track, but it is relevant. So over there, some parents were asking questions that how to be a good parent. So there were so many strategies discussed, but one of the thing was that children, it is the nature of a child to make the parent guilty. It is the nature of the child. How? Okay, they gave example. Let's say that there is a newborn baby. Okay. Newborn baby, what do? Every 3 hour, 2 hour, they need to eat, right? And then they have a dirty diaper, so that needs to be changed. That's it. Eat or sleep, they sleep, and then they have poop or pee. So what happens? The poor mother is working day in and out to fulfill the demands of this child. It's very stressful on the body of a mother. In the night, let's say she's feeding the child every 3 hours, but she sleeps for 4 or 5 hours. No, she's sleeping, she's tired, she slept. The child is also sleeping, mother is also sleeping. Now the mother gets up after 5 hours. Oh my God, I'm such a bad mother. I slept 5 hours. I was supposed to feed my kid. So, oh my God, I'm not a good mother. So immediately a child is putting the mother in guilty, even though the child is sleeping soundly. So like that kind of a love is needed. That, oh my God, I did not chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra yet. Oh my God. So if we are on that level, that as a mother's love for a child is the closest reflection of how Krishna loves his devotees. Closest reflection in this world is the mother's pure love for child. Mother's love is also not very pure in this world, because subtly the mother is desiring that my child will grow up and will be a good child and will take care of me and will one day recognize that how much hardship I took to raise him or her. So that's not pure, because there is some mixture and something, but that is the closest, as close as we can get in this world, that how Krishna loves us. And if we are in that kind of a love, then we are in samadhi. Samadhi does not mean how much I can sit straight and breathe in and breathe out. Samadhi means how much am I absorbed in Krishna? How much? Can you tell Mother Yashoda not to think of Krishna? Can you tell her that? Will she do it? She would rather die. She can't. That is samadhi. What is our condition? Oh, we have to work to remember Krishna. So we are not in samadhi yet, but we can get there. We can get there. Okay, so the bigger word in that verse was Gudakesha. Okay, so thank you, Prabhu. Very nicely read. So Vijita, go ahead. Please.
Yes. Bhishma Drona Pramukhata Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan Samavetan Kuruniti. Translation. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, Rishikesha, the Lord, said, "Just behold, Partha, Parth, all the Kurus who are assembled here." As the supersoul of all living entities, Lord Krishna could understand what was going on in the mind of Arjuna. The use of the word Rishikesha in this connection indicates that he knew everything, and the word Partha, or the son of Kunti, or Pritha, is also similarly significant in reference to Arjuna. As a friend, he wanted to inform Arjuna that because Arjuna was the son of Pritha, the sister of his own father, Vasudev, he had agreed to be the charioteer of Arjuna. Now, what did Krishna mean when he told Arjuna to behold the Kurus? Did Arjuna want to stop there and not fight? Krishna never expected such things from the son of his aunt Pritha. The mind of Arjuna was thus predicated by the Lord in friendly joking.
Thank you very much. So Krishna speaks first. Khushbu Mataji, you can put your question after this verse. Krishna speaks first in Bhagavad Gita in verse 25. Krishna has not spoken. Krishna is just observing and listening. So he's so patient. And then what does he say? Behold. Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus who have assembled here. So he knows, he's inside our heart. He knows what's going on inside us. We don't have a faith that Krishna knows. But that does not mean that Krishna does not know. Krishna knows my past, Krishna knows my present, and Krishna knows my future. When we come under that shelter of Krishna, that yes, Krishna really knows, then only we can become fearless. Because we are always fearful, what's going to happen to me next? What's going to happen to me next? What's going to happen to me next? The child is fearful that, okay, in today's world, there is so much fear because there is so much loss. Like people are dying right, left because of one invisible enemy. our lives have changed so much. Like imagine Diwali last year and Diwali this year. So much. So there is so much anxiety. How can we become fearless in that situation? There is no other way. Everything else is failing. All systems are failing. But Krishna says, take shelter of me. I will give you protection. So Krishna consciousness is not so superfluous philosophy. Krishna consciousness is our life. We live this philosophy. We just don't read a novel and put it away. So Rishikesha means that he knows, indicates that he knows, he knew everything in this connection. And he's joking with Krishna. Oh, Arjuna, oh, behold the Kurus, Arjuna, that you're going to now see who's going to fight. Because Krishna knows Arjuna is going to look at the Bhishma, Dronacharya, and he's going to become sentimental. Oh, no, no, Krishna, I can't fight. Kushbu Mataji, please ask your question. You can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
The text 24 is referring that they have just come in middle of the battlefield. That's what it states. But the purport is mentioning about the sleep. I didn't understand the purport and the statement which is spoken.
It says in
one more reference is Sanjay says, "O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties." But the purport is mentioning in about the sleep, the conqueror of sleep and all. I didn't understand the reference of that.
Anyone would like to explain in this class? Who would like to explain? You can unmute yourself and announce your name and explain. She's asking, this verse says that Sanjaya is telling Dhritarashtra that on order of Arjuna, Krishna drew up the chariot in the midst of both armies, both the parties. So why is he addressing Arjuna as Gudakesha? Why is Prabhupada talking about sleep? Or why is Arjuna, actually Sanjay himself is saying Gudakesha in Bharata. Yes, who's going to tell me? Try. Karthik Prabhu, go ahead. Karthik Prabhu, go ahead.
Yeah, Gudakesha means like conqueror of sleep and ignorance. So he's addressing Gudakesha means like he's able to control his sleep. So Mataji, I want to know the question very more clearly, Mataji.
Well, thank you. You answered pretty well. So,
Mataji, this is Sudha here.
Okay, 1 second. Yes, Sudha Mataji, go ahead.
Mataji, is it basically that, I mean, the purport is trying to say that Arjuna is such a pure devotee that he's conquered sleep and, he's conquered his ignorance also by means of knowledge, that because he's at the level of a pure devotee, Lord Krishna is actually listening to him and draws the chariot in middle of the battleground. It's kind of a reference to say that the Lord listens to his devotees. And that is what he was trying to highlight here.
Okay, thank you. Very nice realization. Okay. When Sanjay is saying Arjuna as Gudakesha, he's telling Dhritarashtra, he's reaffirming because he's talking to Dhritarashtra, right? Dhritarashtra may think that, okay, now Arjuna is going to see both the parties and then he will become overwhelmed with compassion and then he's going to say, I'm not going to fight, and then there will be no war and Kurus are going to be the king without even a war. But Sanjaya can understand this mindset of Dhritarashtra. So to suppress that mindset of Dhritarashtra, he immediately addresses the greatness of Arjuna. Even though Arjuna has come in the middle of the war field, don't think that he's going to come under the ignorance of compassion. Don't think like that, Dhritarashtra. This is a scene going on, but Arjuna is Gudakesha. He has conquered sleep. He has conquered ignorance. Sleep means ignorance. When we sleep, we forget who we are. Right? What is the purpose of our life? What is my name? What is my occupation? Everything goes away. So he has conquered that. So he's telling Dhritarashtra, don't be so sure of what you're thinking, so you can understand the mindset. Okay.
One more thing I can add, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Krishna. Okay, so we'll go ahead. Who is going to read this verse? Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, please go ahead. Karthik. Prabhu.
No, the previous one, like Arjuna is calling, like he's requesting Krishna to
Okay, you can
bring the chariot, and then Krishna is riding the chariot. So, but actually Krishna is Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So Sanjaya is indirectly telling Arjuna is addressing here to Krishna to ask him to ride the chariot and bring in front of them, and he is doing that. So still you think your sons are going to win? Then Sarvaloka Maheshwaram is listening to his orders. How can your sons win? So that is also one thing, I think. One of the meanings.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Nirja Mataji, go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Krishna.
Tatra pasya stitan partha pitir ata pitamahan acharya matulan bratran putran pautran sakims tata swasuran shudras chaiva senayor ubayor api. Translation. That Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his father-in-law and well-wishers, all present there. Purport. On the battlefield, Arjuna could see all kinds of relatives. He could see persons like Bhurishrava, who were his father's contemporaries, grandfathers, Bhishma and Somadatta, teachers like Dronacharya and Kripacharya, maternal uncles like Salya and Sakuni, brothers like Duryodhana, sons like Lakshmana, friends like Ashwatthama, well-wishers like Kritavarma, etc. He could also see also the armies which contained many of his friends.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Very nicely read. So one thing we learn is we see what we want to see. Actually, we don't see what the things are. We see what we want to see. Duryodhana was also seeing the party of Pandavas, right? He went to Dronacharya in the beginning of the chapter itself. And he told that, behold, my dear teacher, what your great student has done. So he was referring to Drishtadyumna. Here, Arjuna is also seeing the other party. So what is the difference? Yes, Rajani Mataji, what is the difference in the vision of Duryodhana and Arjuna?
Obviously, Arjuna is seeing the more. Duryodhana is envious, and Arjuna doesn't have any quality of envy or anything. He's totally pure, and he's just seeing Lord with the eyes of devotion. And he's probably just accepting Krishna as he is, and he's just not only as a friend. So he's surrendered himself totally in this case. So probably there is a lot of difference in the.
Very nice. Thank you. So all kinds of relatives. He's not saying that he's seeing objects of war. These are the people I have to war against so that I can get my goal fulfilled. He's seeing relatives. He's attached. So I want to bring to your attention, Krishna consciousness does not mean that we give up our attachment to our family. It does not mean. Actually, on the contrary, we take care of our family better because we take care of ourselves better. We will study in Krishna book. We study Krishna book on Sundays. Brahma Vimoha Lila. Brahma, when he was testing whether Krishna is God or not, what did he do? He stole Krishna's friends. He kidnapped them, animals and gopas he kidnapped, and he put them in Yoga Nidra. So Krishna knew Brahma has done it. So Krishna, evening was coming, and he knew that all the mothers will be waiting for all their children to come back. All the cows will be waiting for the calves. So Krishna expanded himself. And all the people who were kidnapped, he expanded himself, all animals. So everybody went home in the evening. And interestingly, the parents were more attached to their children this time. They couldn't figure out why they're so attached. The cows were more attached to the calves, very, very attached. The scene is very nicely explained in Canto Bhagavatam. It is said that generally the mother's love is she's gonna hug the child, she's gonna kiss the child, she's gonna, make the child, make hair, make the child look. So her motherly love is more of is different. Father, on the other hand, like don't really go on kissing their children all day long. Mother can do it. But when Krishna expanded himself like that, Vyasadeva writes that that the fathers will be taking care of the cow on the top of Govardhan Hill, and these boys, which are actually expansion of Krishna, are actually down on the bottom of the hill. And the fathers, they cannot control their love for their children. They will run down the hill to hug the children. Same thing was happening before Krishna expanded himself, but now Krishna has expanded, so there's more love, there's more affection. So actually, it is a myth. It is a myth that we actually lose our compassion. We actually see what things are. What is my position? What is my real relationship with each one of the living entities? And we actually become compassionate not only to our own family, but to the whole world. How are we sitting here? Do we know each other? Do we know each other personally? No. We don't know each other personally at all. Then how are we sitting here so nicely and revealing our minds and discussing? Because Krishna is there. So that is Krishna's magic. Krishna's magic we will discuss many times. So that is Krishna's magic. What is so interesting about someone else's life? Everyone, okay, you did some education, okay, you're doing some job, okay, you have a family, okay, then you grow old, then you get disease, then you die. What is so glorious? Krishna's life is glorious. Okay, so we have to come out of that. So Arjuna saw relatives, and he get overwhelmed with compassion. And Krishna also validates his compassion. Krishna does not say, "You fool, what are you doing?" He validates and he says, "Tolerate." The compassion would work. Any questions so far, or I think we can go on to do 3-4 more. No? Mahati, I saw you are in the class. Mahati, read. Please read, Mahati.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Krishna.
तान् समीक्ष्य स कौन्तेय सर्वान् बन्धून् अवस्थितान् कृपया परयाविष्टो विषीदन् idam अब्रवीत्. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus.
So this is the next reason Arjuna is going to give compassion. Actually, this is the first reason. We're starting from verse 27. He became overwhelmed with compassion. Vati, I think you can read the next verse too, please. 28.
Arjuna uvacha drishtve mam svajanam Krishna yuyutsam samupasthitam sidanti mama gatrani mukam cha parisishyati. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up." Purport. Any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all the good qualities which are found in godly persons or in the demigods, whereas the non-devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications, by education and culture, lacks in good godly qualities. As such, after seeing his kinsmen, friends, and relatives on the battlefield, was at once overwhelmed by compassion for them who had so decided to fight amongst themselves. As far as his soldiers were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. And so thinking, the limbs of his body began to quiver and his mouth became dry. He was more or less astonished to see their fighting spirit. Practically, the whole community, all blood relatives of Arjuna, had come to fight with him. This overwhelmed a kind devotee like Arjuna. Although it is not mentioned here, still one can easily imagine that not only were Arjuna's bodily limbs quivering, had his mouth drying up, but that he was also crying out of compassion. Such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. It is said, therefore, yes, Pratibhaktir Bhagavatya Akinchana Sarva Gunais Tatra Samasate Sura Harav Abhaktasya Kuto Mahad Guna Mano Rate Nasati Dhavato Bahiha. One who has unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods, but one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering on the mental plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. So he's expressing the qualities, the symptoms of being very compassionate. These symptoms mentioned, like limbs of my body quivering, mouth drying up, they are sympathetic system over response, right? Whenever we face something anxiety provoking situation, we can either fear or we fright or we fight. So someone may say, a non-devotee may think that Arjuna is becoming scared of looking at the size of the army. But it is very well clarified that he's not scared. He's compassionate. He's soft-hearted because he's seeing the imminent death. Why these people have to die for kingdom? That's what he's thinking. Why? Why do I have to earn so much kingdom and kill all my relatives, soldiers, animals? For what? So he is not able to reason it out. He's not able to convince himself to fight. And here it is said, unflinching devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devotion is of different gradations, categories. Krishna likes unflinching, means undeviated, means not getting pulled. That devotee cannot be convinced to not to worship Krishna. They're fixed in devotion service to Krishna. And because other people who are not a devotee, they may have very good material qualification, but they are of little value. They're not of much value. I know one of my college friends, he's a very famous plastic surgeon in England. Very, very famous. He posts his things. One day he posted that he did a very big surgery, very complicated repair of something congenital, I think somebody's face. And in the caption, he wrote, very busy in repairing God's mistakes. He wrote like that. I read it and I could understand that the same education is a source of so much proud. This person is so much proud. And I prayed to Krishna, please give him the intelligence. I didn't talk to him, but see, Vyasadeva explains in 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, the element of pride in a living entity is sitting in three places. Did I tell this to initial classes? Where is our pride is sitting? Where it is sitting? It is sitting. No. So Vyasadeva explains three places. What are the three places? One is beauty. If someone's beauty has a beautiful body, they're very, very proud. The same body which is actually causing only miseries after miseries, but that becomes a reason for one's proud. And another is the family of birth. If someone is born in a very rich family, very aristocratic family, or very Brahminical family, they become proud. They go out and talk to people, but they're very fixed in their own pride that they're not talking to people. They're gathering their own praises here and there. It is explained. Shastras don't lie. It is explained. The psychology is completely explained. The third factor is education. If someone is very, very educated, they become puffed up. Then there is no humility. How can they understand Krishna? Because they are very fixed that I am so educated, so I am so superior. So they have a superiority complex. People have inferiority complex. They have superiority complex. So how can they understand somebody who is even higher than them? So Vyasadeva says these are the three places. If someone is very rich or born in a very aristocratic family, someone is very beautiful, or someone is very, very educated, those are the elements of pride in a non-Krishna conscious person. These three things can be dovetailed in service of Krishna. When a non-Krishna conscious person, these three things take them to hell. It is mentioned in Nalakuvera and Manigriva story. So if we go ahead, should we go ahead? Yes? Okay, so Dyuti Mataji, please go ahead. Please read. Haribol. Dyuti Mataji, verse number 29.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
वेपयुत शरीरे में रोमहर्षश्च जायते गंडीवं श्रमसते हस्तात्वक्चैव परिध्यते. My whole body, translation, my whole body is trembling and my hair is standing on end. My bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand and my skin is burning. Purport: there are two kinds of trembling of the body, the two kinds of standings of the hair on end. Such phenomena occur either in great spiritual ecstasy or out of great fear under material conditions. There is no fear in transcendental realization. Arjuna's symptoms in this situation are out of material fear, namely loss of life. This is evident from other symptoms also. He became so impatient that his famous bow, Gandiva, was slipping from his hands, and because his heart was burning within him, he was feeling a burning sensation of the skin. All these are due to a material conception of life. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. See, it is very intricately described. Somebody gets scared of Krishna consciousness because they think that we have to become feelingless, we have to become nirvan. All nonsense is going on. Here we are looking, Vasudev is accounting for each and every feeling of Arjuna. Each and every feeling is written. We must be able to code, must convince ourselves that Krishna consciousness is full of feelings, because it is about relationship with Krishna. If there is a relationship, there are going to be emotions and feelings. That is there. Mother and son, there's so many feelings, right? Like that, Krishna and living entity, so many feelings. So Arjuna is now having all this trembling of the hair, quivering of the limbs, Gandiva only slipping out of his hands, and the skin is burning. Why? Because he can't, if we are, God forbid, if we ever have to come in such a situation in our life, it will be very hard to kill my own father. It will be a hard job. So Vasudev is describing all this for our understanding. Oh, Krishna, someone can read? Who would like to read?
Can I read?
Yes, Mataji, please. Pashki, Mataji?
Boski, yes, Mataji. न च शक्नुम व्यस्थातु भ्रमतीव च मे मनः निमित्तानि च पश्यामि विपरीतानि केशव. I am not unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I foresee only evil, O killer of the Keshi demon. Due to his impatience, Arjun was unable to stay on the battlefield, and he was forgetting himself on account of the weakness of his mind. Excessive attachment for material things puts a man in a bewildering condition of existence. Bhayam dvitiya bhiniveshatah. Such fearfulness and loss of mental equilibrium take place in persons who are too affected by material conditions. Arjun envisioned only unhappiness in the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory over the foe. The word nimitta is significant. When a man sees only frustration in his expectations, he thinks, why am I here? Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. No one is interested in the supreme self. Arjuna is supposed to show disregard for self-interest by submission to the will of Krishna, who is everyone's real self-interest. The conditioned soul forgets this and therefore suffers material pains. Arjun thought that his victory in the battle would only be a cause of lamentation for him.
Very nice. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Again, he's saying, Krishna, I'm unable to stay any longer. That is another aspect of the relationship, that we should be able to express what I'm really feeling. So Arjuna is honest and he's expressing that I'm unable to stay here any longer. I'm forgetting myself. I only see the evil, oh killer of Keshi demon. So he's addressing Krishna as Keshi demon. Means that Krishna, you also killed, but you killed Keshi demon. Why are you telling me to kill my grandfather, my teacher, my brother, my soldiers? It's a very difficult situation to be in. But Prabhupada writes, bhayam dvitya nibhesha sattvaha means that fearfulness and loss of mental equilibrium takes place by people who are too much affected by material condition. There is a story of Chitraketu also. He was also under the same situation. So Krishna consciousness is like walking on a razor's edge. You know, I used to see my father shaving with a razor. So you open the razor and put a blade inside, and then you close it, and then you shave the face. And if you're not careful, then the skin will get cut and there will be blood, right? So like that, Krishna consciousness is like that. If we lose our equilibrium and focus, then these things are there, get deviated. This too. I'm not saying that we should not be affectionate to our family. We should not be having compassion, but we must have a goal for ourselves. That is what Prabhupada is saying. Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. No one is interested in Supreme Self. So we have to become interested in the Supreme Self. Nate vidu swarthagatim hi Vishnu. So ultimate interest or selfishness is in Vishnu. Ultimate. Yes, everyone can be object of our compassion. But what about my own personal sadhana? Where am I going? If I'm going, if I'm going somewhere which is in the dark well of happiness, stop it then. Don't go. Stop. Take a pause. Look around. There will be someone to guide. Pray. So conditioned soul forgets this and therefore suffers material pains. In the morning class, I was telling, I hear one psychologist. She's very nice, Laurie Gottlieb. She's a clinical psychologist in Los Angeles. So she often speaks to one of the devotee in ISKCON. Sometimes I hear their podcast. So she was explaining, and it makes sense. There's a difference between pain and suffering. Pain is something which we cannot avoid. Let's say I bump my foot and I get hurt on the foot. That painful chemical will be released and there will be pain. Suffering, okay, what is suffering? I shout. Who kept the brick there? Why you want me to die? You want me to bang my foot there? Look at me, call the ambulance. Doctor, medicine. That is suffering. Okay? Pain, avoid nahi kar sakte. Suffering, we can avoid by actually contemplating that, okay, this happened. Whatever was the thing is happened. Now what? Now what? How can I get rid? Not like I distribute my pain in the world and cause suffering. Make our pain as suffering. Okay, it's a very nice point to meditate that we are suffering because we are forgetting Krishna and we are exaggerating our life. We are actually glamorously glorifying our material existence, either in the way that look at my life, look at me, just look at me, how educated everyone is doing it subtly. Just contemplate. That's called purification of the heart. We have to get rid of it on our own. Look at my bank balance, look at my family. Someone is building a mansion to live in, even though here I know some people, they have 20 bedroom house. Okay, 10 bathrooms and 20 bedroom. Who's living in the house? One husband and one wife. Why do you need 20 bedroom house? Because there is no other conception of happiness. Why do you need 20 bedroom house? That's a mansion, 20 bedroom house. So that is suffering. That's the real thing behind that house will be suffering. So much maintenance, so much time gone. Oh, I would have read Bhagavatam in the same time, but there is no interest. So, but Arjuna is honest. He's expressing his feelings, and and Prabhupada is explaining two things here. What is he explaining? That we are fearful because we are too much affected by material conditions, and then he's saying that conditioned soul forgets the interest of Krishna and suffers material pains. Material life is painful, but suffering that pain is in our hands. Mataji, go ahead with your question, Khushbu Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. My question was in text 29.
Okay.
I wanted to know the meaning of spiritual ecstasy or out of great fear under material condition. The two things. One is the spiritual ecstasy in the second line in the purport, and great fear under material condition.
Yes, so trembling of the body and standing of hair on end, actually we most commonly people experience whenever there is anxiety, like exam. You are a teacher, you must have seen this trembling and goosebumps in children. What is going to happen? My pen is shaking, that exam is going to be tough, right? That is material condition. Spiritual, when someone is chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with Shuddha Nam, with no offenses, then they also feel this eight. There are eight symptoms described in Chaitanya Chaitamrita for a person who's chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra purely. They also feel trembling of the body and standing of hair on the end, tears rolling down their cheek, and consciousness dizzy. They also feel dizzy, but that is because of the chanting. And say, I read Bhagavad Gita. Where are you going to work on? Very nice question in one of the classes I took. He said, Mataji, it is very easy to see Krishna if I'm in this, right? But how can I convert that fear into faith? So think about it. I will ask you next time. How can we convert our Give me one example, one liner from practical application if you feel comfortable to share. Otherwise, write it down for your own self, for your own growth. How can this fear of coronavirus be converted into faith in Krishna? People who are not Krishna conscious, they are devotees of Krishna, they will complain to Krishna. Krishna, why did you send this? My life was going fine. We were having nice Diwali weekend. So many things. Krishna, why me, Krishna? Why me? So that's non-devotee. But the devotee will say, now Krishna has come in my vision as a fear. Now how do I deal with it? How can I serve Krishna now? So please, this will be your next homework, fear into faith. Don't spend too much time. I don't want you to become disinterested also in the classes, but just think about it. It's a practical application. I think we can do two more or one more. Who would like to read?
Can I read?
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Yeah. Nacha Shreyo Anupashyami Hatva Swajanam Ahave Nakangshi Vijayam Krishna Krishnana Cha Rajyam Sukhani Cha. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I have my dear Krishna desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. Purport. Without knowing that one's self-interest is in Vishnu or Krishna, conditioned souls are attracted by bodily relationship, hoping to be happy in such situations. Under delusion, they forget that Krishna is also the cause of material happiness. Arjuna appears to have even forgotten the moral codes for a Kshatriya. It is said that two kinds of men, namely the Kshatriya who dies directly in front of the battlefield under Krishna's personal order, and the person in the renounced order of life who is absolutely devoted to spiritual culture, are eligible to enter into sun globe, which is so powerful and dazzling. Arjuna is reluctant even to kill his enemies, let alone his relatives. He thought that by killing his kinsmen, there would be no happiness in his life, and therefore he was not willing to fight. Just as a person who does not feel hunger is not inclined to cook, he has now decided to go into the forest and live a secluded life in frustration. But as a Kshatriya, he requires a kingdom for his subsistence because the Kshatriyas cannot engage themselves in any other occupation. But Arjuna had no kingdom. Arjuna's sole opportunity for gaining a kingdom lay in fighting with his cousins and brothers and reclaiming the kingdom inherited from his father. which he does not like to do. Therefore, he considers himself to go to the forest to live a secluded life of frustration.
Yes, very
Thank
nice,
you, Mataji.
clear. I do not see any good. So this verse actually starts explaining the second reason for not fighting, and that is enjoyment. Because everyone is gonna go dead and gone, I do not see any good how can come by killing my own kinsmen, and nor do I desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. So Arjuna is again and again very nicely validating his points. And if we don't hear Krishna, okay, if we only hear Arjuna, we become convinced that Arjuna's reasons are fine. They're good reasons Arjuna is giving. He's actually giving good reasons. That is our perplexity too. He's actually speaking our mind out. Uh, how can I go against my family and become Krishna conscious? So many brahmacharis in India. It doesn't happen in Western world. It doesn't happen here. It happens in India a lot. Okay? Some boy from the family goes and wants to join the temple as a brahmachari. So many impediments. People in the family to the media. Look what ISKCON is doing. This person studied so much, has so much responsibility. Now he's going to become a brahmachari. Because their conception of a brahmachari is chhod do sab kuch, armchair philosophy. That is what no enjoyment. He could have gotten married, he could have had children. There is so much enjoyment there, but this person is becoming a brahmachari. So we find fault. Are you hearing the noise behind me? Yes or no? Okay.
No, Mataji.
No, not at all.
Thank you. There's some construction going on behind me. That's why. So under delusion, they forget Krishna is also the cause of material happiness. So Krishna bhuliya jeev bhog vancha kare. Forgetting Krishna, everyone is trying to enjoy the material world. Pashatiya maya tare japatiya dhare. Immediately the maya captures and says, you want to enjoy? Yeah, enjoy. So once you start chanting Hare Krishna, not to judge other people, but just try to study the enjoyment of other person, or what I was trying to enjoy before. What was I trying to enjoy before? Get good education, get a good job, get good reputation in the society, get a nice family to marry into, get good bank balance. What is this enjoyment? And there comes one coronavirus, everything is gone. No job, family gets diseased, or there's so many fights in the family. So real enjoyment is Krishna consciousness. Krishna also encourages us, but we take time to think about it. Okay, I will stop here. Anyone has any questions? So today I will just summarize what we did. What we studied today was Arjuna's reasons that why he's not going to fight. We studied two more reasons why Arjuna is going to win actually. What were the reasons? That one is Hanuman is present on the Kapidhwaja. And what was the other reason? One is Kapidhwaja, there's 120 that I'll share the lecture with you. And this one, Hridayani Vradarayet. This one, that they're growing the conscious. Okay. And then we studied that Arjuna is telling Krishna to take his chariot in the midst of both the armies. And even though Krishna is going to drive his chariot, Krishna is still called as Achyuta, means he does not fall down. Then we studied that Krishna understands the mindset of Arjuna and he just jokes around. Now see, behold the great army. And Gudakesha was the name of Arjuna used. Behold the great army, that who all are assembled. Krishna starts speaking from 25th verse. And Arjuna was seeing the relatives. He was not seeing the enemies that I discussed, that is the heart of a pure devotee. The minute he sees, he becomes overwhelmed with compassion. And then he has these bodily changes. Limbs of my body quivering, my mouth drying up. And then the hair are standing on the end. The heart is burning, body is trembling. Oh, ho, 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 ho. So he's unable to stand only. Gandiva bow is slipping. He is seeing only evil. And he says, Krishna, you killed Keshi. Why are you telling me to kill these? Keshi is a horse demon, Mataji. Someone asked, who is a Keshi demon? He's a horse demon. Krishna killed many demons in Vrindavan. So horse, one of the horse name was Keshi. You know how Krishna killed him? Krishna knows how to kill everyone. He put his fist inside the mouth of the horse and choked him. That's how. And he killed the bird demon Bakasura. You know how he killed him? He split his beak into 2 parts. So he knows how to kill perfectly. So I have some questions. If you don't have any questions, and then if
Mataji,
anyone
I
has
have a
to raise-
question.
Ma'am, Mataji, I have a question.
Yeah. So you decide who goes first. Shamila Mataji, please go ahead.
In the last verse, we were talking about Krishna and his army on 2 opposite sides, right? That last verse. Can we go to the last verse?
This one I am unable any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling.
The last, no, after this, when he says on 2 different sides of the, yeah, this text, go further down in the purport. Yeah. Here, yeah, here on the top in the first 2 lines, he talks about the people in the opposite side, right?
Where he can see his, that verse, Mataji, this one, Arjuna saw all different grades of friends and relatives. He became overwhelmed with compassion.
I just lost in which verse it is. I'll just put my question forth. Okay, now Krishna's army is on one side with the Kauravas fighting against the Pandavas, and you have Pandavas with Krishna. Now, on the words of Krishna, the whole of Krishna's army is fighting against the Pandavas, though they are wrong. Pandavas are right, Kauravas are wrong. But yet, on the words of Krishna, the entire army is fighting. Now, aren't they not doing a mistake despite it being? I mean, if you look at dharma, then the whole of army of Krishna is doing something wrong. So those people, will they attain moksham because they are doing at the words of Krishna? Are they getting moksham, or are they doing it wrong? I mean, are they right or wrong?
So you're asking me to validate. The principle is, if we do what Krishna says, that's always right. Krishna told Maharaj, tell lies, right?
No. Then if they are good people, why should they be killed then? If they are good people, and they are on the side of Krishna, then they should not be killed. They should have some other way of, just because their sins are still there, that they had to take the side of their of the Kauravas, and they were killed because everybody was killed. So, I mean, how do you validate that point of mine? I mean, am I right in what I'm asking?
You're right, but I want to say something that there is always a difference between morality and spirituality. You're heading over there. You're asking moral or not, and the answer is there's a difference between morality and spirituality. In absolute sense, there is no difference, but in material sense, there is difference. I know Smita Mataji, you want to say something. Why don't you say first? Go ahead, Mataji.
Can I talk? Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, Mataji.
Can I say?
Yes.
Yeah. One thing is, when the army is on the other side, Krishna has given them mukti. That is what I feel. The army is given to fight with Kauravas, but then the life is going to be maybe their last life, and they're going to get mukti spiritually.
Yes.
That is one thing. And I have my question. Mataji talked about 26 qualities. I want to know, can you give it on WhatsApp or something? You said about the 26 qualities.
Yes.
Which are not mentioned number-wise.
Yes, and it is mentioned in the forthcoming chapters. Yes, I will share it in the group.
And one more thing I wanted to know, this purported translation, can we get print if we ask for from your Mangalore Center? Is it available?
You mean to buy the book? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Go to the website. It's called mangaluru.com.
Okay, then we can buy it.
I'm going to show you. Yes, you can buy it and it will be shipped.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
You go to this website, Mataji. I'm sorry, this
Okay.
two. Oh, and come down, and there's this course material. You can buy these books and Japa. 100 rupees, which
Yes, with translation purport, it is there.
same book what I'm reading is there. Same book.
I want the same one. That is why I'm asking.
Same.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Krishna. Mataji, coming back to your question.
Yeah.
So everybody who was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, every single one of them attained liberation. Why? Because Krishna, because of the presence of Krishna, the whole world becomes purified. Krishna is purified. Krishna does not get affected by sinful reaction of other people. That is one thing. So his army was obeying his orders. So they are actually spiritual. Not only awe and reverence is the means of devotion. We can serve Krishna by our anger also. I was listening to Prabhupada this morning, and Prabhupada was saying, Bhishma's pastime, he was bringing up that Bhishma was teased by Duryodhana one night that you're not fighting properly. You're not fighting, because if you would have fought with your heart, then these Pandavas would have been killed long time ago. So Bhishma had promised that he will not kill the Pandavas, but he was going to break his promise. He said, you have the 5 arrows, you bring me the 5 arrows, and tomorrow either Krishna will have to break his promise or I will kill the Pandavas. So next day he fought in such a ravaging manner, even though the 5 arrows were taken away, that's different story. But next day Bhishma fought. And Prabhupada was saying that we can serve Krishna with our anger. So that anger of Bhishma made Krishna break his promise that he's not going to lift any weapon. Or he's not going to attack anyone in the army. So Krishna broke his promise and lifted the chariot wheel to attack the Bhishma. Yeah. But actually, he was enjoying. He was enjoying with Bhishma. This sporting he was enjoying. There was no fight. It looks like fight, but it was a play fight. Like that, the army of Krishna, they agreed to what Krishna said, very spiritual. Do what Krishna says, that is absolute. And everybody, including the animals, got liberation on the war field. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else has any question? Please unmute yourself.
Mataji, the whole idea of the whole Yuddha of Mahabharata is only to do with material gain, because they want kingdom. And here again, Arjuna saying that I don't want that material wealth, I don't want that kingdom, and I don't want to fight. So where is he wrong in that? Like, he is actually not selfish. He's actually giving up everything. Why is he wrong in that? Why is he kind of compelled to fight, to take weapon against his own king, or for that matter anybody? Because he's just saying I don't want anything. So isn't it okay? Isn't it right that I don't want that? Why do I have to fight which I don't want?
Very nice question. Why is Krishna forcing Arjuna to fight when Arjuna says I don't want anything? There are 2 ways to answer this question. One is, when you study the Shastras, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we realize that detachment is another phase of attachment only. When he says, I don't want, then who is in the center? Who is in the center? Arjuna. But Krishna consciousness means putting Krishna in the center of activity. So I don't want, I am fully satisfied is actually an attachment to my detachment. The big acharyas explain it very nicely. So it's a very subtle attachment to one's own detached order of life. Krishna wants us to get rid of that also. How we get rid of that? By only serving what Krishna says. Then Arjuna is going to fight. Arjuna is going to kill. Arjuna is going to do, but he will do it as a devotional service to Krishna. I don't want, but Krishna wants, so I'm going to do it. This is devotional service. Not like I want to do what I feel is good for me. And the other part of the answer is that Arjuna by nature is a Kshatriya. He's saying he doesn't want, but he will not be able to live by begging. And Krishna knows that. We cannot go against our nature. Our nature will bring us back to what I am inclined to do. We cannot go back. We cannot actually leave. So it is better to be engaged in a devotional service according to one's guna and karma, according to what nature one has acquired under the modes of material conditions, and karma, what is the duty associated with that nature. Otherwise, we will become something called mithyachara sa uchyate. Fifth chapter Krishna says. Otherwise, it will be a false renunciation. So, first answer is I don't want to anything is also an attachment to one's detachment. Second part of the answer is that we have to serve Krishna by all means, considering that this is what Krishna wants. We have to get that much validation. We cannot concoct what Krishna wants. So that's why we need sadhu, guru, sadhu, and shastras. If the three things tell us, then we do that. Okay, Mataji?
Yes, thank you, Mataji.
Okay, Jyoti Mataji, you have a question, right? You wrote in the chat. Beginner,
Yes, Mataji.
can we...
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, it's fine. You can chant on Tulsi beads. There is no
Okay, actually,
recommendation.
Mataji, yeah, actually, Mataji, I had a word with one of the Mataji from the ISKCON Kolkata group, which I'm associated with. So Mataji suggested me that as you're a beginner, it's better to start chanting with, neem beads. Then you can go to Tulsi beads, because as she was telling me, ki, like in Tulsi is treated as a very sacred. So it's in order to chant on Tulsi beads, we need to follow certain regulations, Mataji. So I just wanted you to clarify whether I should go and start with the neem beads or the Tulsi beads, Mataji.
So,
if you can please suggest me.
Right, she's not wrong. She's right that if someone is not actually, Tulsi beads are to be given by a guru to the disciple. Real recommendation. There's a difference between recommendation and absolute requirement. Okay, these are two words. The real recommendation is chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on Tulsi is allowed only by a initiated disciple. That is a real recommendation. But whoever is chanting 16 rounds, even if they're not initiated, can chant on Tulsi beads. Yes, it is recommended to start from the neem beads if you have access to it. But if you don't have access to it, then don't just sit with Tulsi bead lying there and I'm lying here. No. Pick up whatever you have. Okay.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Mataji, the beads which were given with the books, with the course material, they are Tulsi beads.
I don't know. I don't know to ask.
Okay, they are white in color. I don't know if they are Tulsi beads.
I don't know. I'll have to ask the temple. I'll ask him.
Thank you.
But again, I'm saying that it is not so important to be attached to a ritual. You're not going to do an offense by, if absolutely you have only Tulsi, then don't sit. That is an offense not to chant. That is an offense. But it is not an offense to utilize whatever resource you have at that present time, place, and circumstances. Later, if you can get it, then do it. Otherwise, I have always chanted on Tulsi beads, even when I was chanting 3 rounds or 16 rounds or whatever rounds. So I think I'm okay. So anyone else has any questions, or can I put my questions? Then we will call it a day. No more questions? Okay, so answer my questions, please. Let's go. So the homework is, please listen to the lecture that I will share. And also please write one-liner at least, fear to faith. Meenakshi Mataji, you have a question? Meenakshi Iyer Mataji, your hand is raised. Do you have a question?
No, ma'am. No, Mataji, no.
Okay. So we did this. What is the significance of Dhritarashtra saying Mamaka? Why was Dhritarashtra fearful? We did these. So we started from this one. 4 signs of victory of the Pandavas. I think we discussed it. So what is the significance of Hanuman present on Arjuna's flag? I will share the lecture and then I will have you answer. What is the meaning of the word Gudakesha? Yes, who's going to answer?
Miss,
What is the meaning?
I mean, Mataji Vijita.
Who has conquered and ignorance? Sorry.
Okay, Vijita, go ahead. Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Goda,
Nishita.
Godaka means sleep, and Isha, you told it means the conqueror, kind of like, I forget the proper word. So Godakesha means the conqueror of sleep and ignorance.
Yes, sleep and ignorance. Yes. Anyone else would like to say? I think that's all. The next week we'll finish the chapter, hopefully on Monday. Monday, 6 kind of aggressors. That's it. So happy Diwali, everyone, and hopefully you all are.
Diwali Mataji.
Happy
Happy
Diwali,
Diwali,
Mataji.
Mataji.
I have a
Happy
question.
Diwali.
When is the next
Happy Diwali,
class?
Mataji.
When is the next
Happy
class?
Diwali, Mataji.
Monday.
To the little one also.
So we will not be meeting on
Yes,
Wednesday.
happy Diwali.
Happy
She
Diwali.
is so
Diwali.
cute. Today is Wednesday. Every Wednesday the class occurs or only on Monday it occurs?